I'm not just Brunelling or draking here at Berkeley Castle in Gloucestershire, I'm doing both. Because circumstantial evidence has it that Francis Drake came here, and there's enough circumstantial evidence for them to have a room here called the Drake Room. And Isambard Kingdom Brunel was here, and that is substantiated by looking at the Brunel office desk diaries in the SS Great Britain. And I'm going to tell you both stories. Berkeley Castle, Gloucestershire. Several secondary sources mention a Drake connection with the castle. In 2001, the custodian wrote to me stating that Drake occasionally visited the castle. After my visit in 2005, I pressed the archivist David Smith for primary evidence to substantiate Drake's visit. David stated there was no evidence. This was disappointing and ought to encourage Berkeley Castle to remove or clarify the so-called Drake exhibits. One of the bedrooms is called Drake's Room, but the furnishings are 17th century. Outside the room is his colourful sea chest. The inside lid is decorated with 6 galleons. The Drake's coat of arms is strangely absent. The chest is too large to be a sea chest, but it's a house chest in the 17th century. Furthermore, the tour guide claims that oak from the estate was used in the building of the Golden Hind. This is at best legend, since the Golden Hind was built at Coxside, Plymouth. Her timbers were most likely sourced locally. The castle should explain how Lady Elliot Drake enlightens us on the Berkeley-Drake connection. Catherine Blunt was the sister of Drake's friend, Lord Mountjoy. Her first husband was a Champernoun. Her second husband was Sir Maurice of Berkeley. If Drake visited the castle in the company of his wife, Lady Elizabeth, they could have taken ship 5.25 miles away from Coombe Sydenham Hall, where Drake's second wife was seated, the daughter of Sir George Sydenham. They could have taken ship at Watchet in Somerset and sailed up the Bristol Channel into the River Severn. There is still a narrow creek which reaches the castle. In the castle grounds there's a Tudor bowling green, which in fact is behind the camera, enclosed with box hedging. It had a dual purpose. At one end, skittles was played on the grassy ramp. At the other end was the Crown bowling green. If Drake had visited during the summer, he could have played bowls on this green. Bowling was fashionable in the summer evenings as an activity for gentlemen. And we reckon that Drake was probably around here in the area of time 1584, 1588, around that time. Brunel is a very exciting link because when I arrived here today, nobody knew that Brunel had been here. That's because I'd gone into the Brunel diaries, which a lot of authors have gone into, but they haven't mentioned all the days that I've found because I've created a chronological table. But what was Brunel doing in Berkeley? Well, east-northeast of Berkeley, Gloucestershire, is a bridge of extreme obliquity, intersecting the rails at 48 degrees. Isambard Brunel, that's his son, who wrote a biography of his father, informs us of 2 large brick road bridges near Berkeley of extreme obliquity. One was a 48-degree arch set in Roman cement with hoop iron, as Sir Mark had incorporated in an earlier work. The other bridge possessed a 53-degree skew. The bridges spanned the railway, east, east-north, and northeast of Berkeley. The first bridge is directly south of the site of Berkeley and Dursley Station, that from June the 1st, 1845, had been known as Berkeley Road. A private concrete driveway on level ground in front of the former station house of red brick with stone dressings attributed to IKB, Isambard Kingdom Brunel, is the site of the downline platform that once housed the shallow Pangbourne category main station building. The next bridge is also of red brick and is called Gossington Overbridge. These two bridges each carry one lane of road traffic and are most significant of the scant remains of Brunel structures in South Gloucestershire. The parallel Gossington Bridge for southbound traffic acted as a platform from which to photograph Brunel's masterpiece that, like the other bridge, required a tilting arch. The full extent of their skews was appreciated when standing on the crown of each bridge and gazing at the angle of its intersection with the railway lines. Now, Brunel was working with Lady Berkeley, because although those bridges are a fair few miles away from here, in those days the railway line was cutting across the edge of the Berkeley estate. And on February the 5th, 1834, Brunel's diary for the 5th of February says, attends a committee with Lady Berkeley and Lord Orkney for the day. Now this is which is really exciting now, because in 1842, Friday the 11th of March, Brunel's diary says this: Bristol, 8 a.m, left Royal Western Hotel, a long line of Bristol and Gloucester Railway, to Stapleton, Wickwar, Newport, to Berkeley Castle. 12th of March, a day of relative leisure Brunel spent here. The next day, on the 13th of March, morning to Bristol via Thornbury, 2:30 or 2:30 p.m. train to London. So there you have it. You've got the connection with Francis Drake, which is circumstantial, but the Brunel one is set in archival stone. And I've been around the castle, outside, inside, photographing all the rooms, and it's a real thrill that no one knows that Brunel came here. I've encouraged the staff here to contact the SS Great Britain Archive to have the diary photographed so they can put it in a frame with a picture of Brunel stating that this great man slept here for 2 nights. And I hope you find this video at least as interesting as I have. Thanks for watching.